One family, one people, one planet, one love. One family, one people, one planet, one love. Good morning and welcome to SoulCall Sundays. My name is Lisa Ferraro. I'm the founder and spiritual director of SoulCall Ministries, and we welcome you to this last Sunday of June 28th, where we're examining and opening up the idea of coherence. Coherence. All month we've been looking at navigating the tides of change. And coherence is certainly a valuable tool as we navigate the tides of change. There's so much change and shift happening in our world right now. No matter who we are going through it in different ways. But each one of us has something that is happening in our lives that is bringing us to a new evolution, an evolutionary edge of consciousness and the growth of our own consciousness. This conscious global shift is happening. And each of us is going to participate in our unique way. So coherence of spirit, mind, and body. So I'm going to offer you two definitions. First will be the Merriam-Webster definition. She's so smart. Wait for it. And that is a systematic or logical connection or consistency. A systematic or logical connection or consistency. So there's this way that spirit, mind, body works. And it's coherent when each part is functioning in conjunction with the other, feeding each other information and weaving together this thread of life. And the other is, another definition is the weaving together of individual parts in the midst of change. The weaving together of individual parts in the midst of change. That would be that spirit, mind, body connection. It's weaving together of those parts and recognizing that they're always there. Sometimes we disconnect for one reason or another, something that we just don't want to look at. Sometimes change is really difficult. Sometimes the biggest part of change is admitting that something has changed. In our refusal to admit something is changing, a whole series of other things happen that create a disconnect between spirit, mind, body. And whenever one of these parts is cut off from the whole or from another part, we can see shifts that maybe aren't as favorable to the whole system, meaning the body, the mind, or the spirit of an individual. Say something comes into our field, our body gets affected by something. If we don't want to admit that that's happening, we can't put our mind to use, calling on the energy of spirit to help co-create a healing process for the body. So I found these words from Mark Nepo in his book, Drinking from the River of Light. This is an amazing book. Thank you, David Leonard, my spiritual guru. He's teaching me a lot of different things along with many other master teachers. So I appreciate the insight. This is a really interesting little disrobing in time from Mark Nepo. It's because I don't want things to change, I don't admit that they already have. Because I don't want things to change, I don't admit that they already have. Then I feel like the wheel of life is tearing me apart. That could be a body-mind-spirit separation. The wheel of life feels like it's tearing you apart. The greatest power we have when feeling powerless is to admit what is already true. Take that in. The greatest power we have when feeling powerless is to admit what is already true. Then the stepping stones of eternity with a capital E rise out of the mud, showing us where to go. Powerful. So for me, I want to talk about coherence and participation. Coherence and participation. And I'm replacing the word meditation for participation. Because people have this idea of meditation as a way of, it's a scary word for some people. They feel, and maybe this is you, that meditation is for somebody else. It's woo-woo, it's out there, it's whatever it is. It's actually in here, and it's learning how to participate with the other part of our being that sometimes gets disconnected, therefore creating a lack of coherence of spirit, mind, body. So instead of meditation, I'm going to call it a participation practice. And in it, at the end of my talk today, we're going to do a little participation
that was taught to me from Self-Realization Fellowship. It was the work of Paramahansa Yogananda. Just learning how to work with the energy and the forces that are with us all the time that we don't participate with. The vibratory rates of consciousness that our spirit has access to at all times, and so does the mind. I'm going to refer to the mind today as the Mixmaster of consciousness. And sometimes when I think of the Mixmaster, I think of being on tour in Dallas, Texas. And at one point on one of the highways, I think it's 24, don't quote me on that, but I think that's the one that goes around, or there's a beltway. And as you're driving down the highway, you come up, you can see it in the distance. It's a stack of highways, of exit ramps and on-ramps of about, it's maybe 6 or 7 lanes high. It's stacked this high, and they call it the Mixmaster. And as you're approaching it, I'm going to tell you, you better know which direction you need to get yourself going and on which interstate you want to get to or through, or else you end up, it was like the most fascinating, remember the Hot Wheels when you were a kid? It was like if you could stack it that high. They call it the Mixmaster, because that's where all these different ideas of direction and orientation and consciousness come together, and you can spin around halfway and go this way, or all the way around and go that way. And depending on where you come into this Mixmaster, you can get spun into another way of being, or another way of going, proceeding in your life. It's important then to know where you want to go. So this is participating. So mind as Mixmaster, for our purposes today, is paying attention to where these cues are coming from to the mind. So if mind, let's say, for example, today, mind is in the middle of spirit and body. Sometimes the body will send up a signal to the mind and say, I'm hungry. That is a physiological need. We want to eat. So then whatever we have attachments to around food, likes and dislikes, we'll seek those things out and we'll eat them. Sometimes something will come from the subconscious mind and we don't even know why it's in there. It's because as we're moving through life, our minds take in a vast amount of information, especially through the eyes. Lots and lots of information to help discern whether or not we're safe in a situation. A lot of it we try to categorize right off the bat. This information coming in. Is it safe? Is it not safe? This person, I've seen this before, therefore this is that. That's not always true either. And then through participation or meditation, sometimes we get information from spirit or from intuition. It's that subtle force. It's that subtle guide, that subtle information. But it's different rates of vibration. Once we can discern these subtle rates of vibration, we can understand or have access to an awareness or a consciousness of where this cue is coming from. So the Mixmaster of the mind can say yes or no. Is this for the whole? Is it coherent? Does it help connect me or disconnect me from all the parts of myself, or from the whole with which I participate as I move and live and have my being in life as an individual human being, as part of one human family, one human race? Interesting things to think about. And I know sometimes when we start talking about vibration, it turns some people off because it sounds a little woo-woo. All of a sudden we're talking about energy and vibration. Oh, that's so cosmic, man. Well, it's interesting to note that whether we realize it or not, we're participating with vibratory rates of energy all day long. If you hear music, because you can discern different notes, if you know how to sing any song at all, pick your favorite song. If you sing Georgia, Georgia, the whole day through, just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. That's a melody most people know. Because you can understand melody, that means you have access to a high note or a low note. Ba, ba. It's a different rate of vibration through the energy that comes through sound. Light is another form of energy that helps to give color to the flowers, for example. I remember talking to a friend of mine who was a great inventor, and he was teaching the little next door neighbor about color and how color comes from light. And they had a bag of seeds, and he asked the child, what color do you think these flowers are going to be? And what do you think gives the flowers their color? And the child said, well, the color must be inside the seed. And then it grows up and it's that color. And so to take the theory another step further, he said, well, let's crack open the seeds and see what's in there. When they cracked open the seed, sure enough, that wasn't the colors that they thought. So then where does it come from? So we participate with vibratory rates, again, of energy in the form of light, which gives color to the things we see. It's light. So light and sound, these vibratory rates, it's not woo-woo, it's just having an understanding of what you participate with every single day. It's the fact of some of what we deal with here. So bringing these into sacred resonance and the Mixmaster of consciousness, and changing the word meditation into participation, participating more fully with the energy that we have access to, So there's a way of what Yogananda says, never give up and then surrender. Never give up and then surrender. It's taking the mind and working with the body to participate with what is, to the point that then we can release into the larger idea of what is meant for us. For example, we are not helpless beings in these bodies. Sometimes it feels like things are happening in the world, we have no control over it. What we do have control over is the way with which we participate with the changes of the world. The world has been changing and evolving and growing since the beginning of what we call time. And it'll continue to do so when we're no longer on the planet. Part of what's happened is these ways of participating with nature, or the energy of the planet, or the energy of source energy, cosmic intelligence, has kind of been teased out of the mainstream for one reason or another. And so we at SoulCall, we want to bring that awareness, that sacred awareness back, that you can recognize it from the center of your being. You can tune into that cosmic intelligence. And it's not out there, it's right here. It's right here, right now. And it's this process of emerging. We talked about emerging with wisdom from last week. So considering that, something Rumi said is, yesterday I was clever and I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise and I am changing myself. Well, how do we do that? Participation. The Mixmaster, again, of intelligence in the coherent field is bringing together the sacred intelligence, the cosmic intelligence, the spirit, opening up to the one cosmic force and allowing it to come through the filter of our mind and bring itself into the intelligence of the body, or bring it forth from the intelligence that's already inherent in our nature. Recognizing this is for me, this doesn't work so well. Getting away from the idea that we're powerless and becoming in sacred resonance with spirit, mind, body, getting a harmonious pattern, a harmonious pattern. So practicing things that we practice with intention and using the mind to connect into spirit or the consciousness, using the mind to connect to spirit and consciousness, and then bringing it in. You've heard me say several times, like we look at fish and say, wow, look at that fish swimming in water. But the fish looks at us also and says, wow, look at that human swimming around in light. They don't even realize they're made of pure light. So recognizing coherence as spirit, mind, body, and bringing the balance of these together, So I want to stop here, and I ask you to sit in an upright position if you're standing or walking around, or if you are sitting in a comfortable chair. I want to give you a practice, a participation practice that helps us to empower the cells and the intelligence of our beings. Practicing this sacred oneness, bringing into coherence the spirit, mind, body connection, bringing it all together so that when we take a step forward, our mind, our body, and our spirit are completely connected. We are all there. We are all together. Our thoughts support our intention. Our intention supports our consciousness and the evolution of that being, and our body helps to serve that sacred intelligence within ourselves. So let's take a moment and take this into meditation, but let's take it into participation. So I'd like to share with you now a participation practice. It was inspired by the work of Paramahansa Yogananda and Self-Realization Fellowship. And I'm thinking if we spent more time participating with energy, participating with healing practices, pulling energy into the body, we would spend less time worrying or being caught in what the subconscious mind throws up as emotions of fear, anxiety, helplessness, all of these things. So emotion is energy. So we're going to learn to transmute that energy of negative emotions by pulling in life force energy, vibratory rates that are higher than the emotions which produce a negative effect on the mind, body, spirit connection, that try to interfere with the coherence of our natural state of being, which is peace. So here it is. So this is going to help us to release the negative emotions and increase the flow of energized life force, energized light force in the body. So first we're going to sit up straight. I'll give you a second to do that. Then we're going to inhale. And while inhaling, contract all the muscles. Make them really tense. And feel the life energy permeating the body and every cell. Just feel it. And then we're going to feel the concentration of energy in the lungs. Now feel that the breath in the lungs is like a magnet, pulling any unwanted emotion, anxiety, fear, restlessness into that breath and the air in the lungs. So it's kind of like a magnet. Now release the tension from the muscles and throw the breath out with a double exhale. And now let's repeat that again. So we're going to sit up straight, inhale, and while we inhale, contract all the muscles. Feel the life energy permeating the body and every cell of our being. Just feel it. And then focus and feel the concentrated energy in the lungs. You just inhale. As if the lungs were a magnet, that breath pulled in like a magnet all of the fear, worry, and anxiety, anything. Pulled it all into that breath as the air in the lungs. Now, release the tension in the muscles and double exhale. And see all of that negative emotion and anxiety being released and flowing away from the body. If you do this 2 or 3 times, a couple of times a day, there's the psychophysiology of it is it just creates the realization. It stirs up the remembrance of the sacred coherence, connection of spirit, mind, body. And it dispels all of the negative energy and brings us back to that body, mind, consciousness. We are one, the body, mind, and the consciousness of the infinite creative source. Nature shows us this all the time. And so this is a proactive way to protect ourselves from the incoming changes around the world or just in our little sphere of activity. We're not passive victims of things, of life. We are co-creators. We are powerful participants. If we practice this participation exercise, a participation practice, this is one of many. And starting in July, we're going to introduce more of this type of meditation practice into the talks on a regular basis, so you have more access to the information, the intelligence, the cosmic intelligence every single day. And now let us just take that. Let's do this one more time, this participation practice. Sitting up straight, we're going to inhale. While inhaling, tense all the muscles of the body, feeling the life energy, the life force permeating every muscle, every cell of your being. Now focusing on the lungs and pulling like a magnet anything that is fear, anxiety, helplessness into the air in your lungs. And now exhale with a double exhale. Relax the tension of the muscles, dispelling all of the negative energy and replacing it with pure light and expansion. And now let us take that into a meditation, recognizing that all is well.
In the presence of the One, in the presence of the Truth, all is well, all is here, all is well, all is well. In the presence of the One, In the presence of the truth, all is healed, all is whole, all is well, all is well. In the presence of the one, in the presence of the truth, all is healed, all is whole, all is well, all is well. In the presence of the one, in the presence of the truth, all is healed, all is whole, all is well, all is well. In the presence of the in the presence of the truth, all is healed, all is whole, all is well, all is well, all is well.
Thank you for joining us this morning for Soul Call Sunday. And we also thank you for your generous tithes and donations. No amount is too big or too small. We thank you, and to donate, you can reach us at soulcallministries.org/donate. And we thank you for that. It helps us to do fun things like the thing we're going to do this afternoon, the river cleanup at 11:30. If you're in the Columbus area, join us at the Scioto Audubon entrance to the river, and we're going to do a river cleanup and place those beautiful soul stones we painted in the park a couple weeks ago. We also are going to invite you to share your favorite nonprofit with us, or a person you may know who is in need. That is what we do with our contributions. We do amazing things for the communities which serve us. We serve you. So it's a global organization, and our classes are still ongoing. Find out more about our classes at soulcallministries.org. So we thank you for joining us this morning, and we look forward to seeing you Wednesday for Wisdom Wednesdays. More information there at soulcallministries.org. I hope to see you this afternoon from 11:30 to 1:30. We'll be doing the river cleanup. So come on and join us down there. And thank you so much for being with us. And until next week, or until we see each other again, know that you are loved.